Welcome back to Inside the Humidor. I'm Josh Eagle, along with Ed Brandyberry, here inside the smokestack on University Boulevard in Moon Township. Today we're talking about the IPCPR of 2015. Got some of the new cigars that are finally trickling their way down to us. Got some good cigars that we're going to be smoking that you can find at your local retailer. Ones we have on the board, Ed, give them a little preview.
Well, we have the Perdomo came out with the craft series. These are all cigars under $9 that have been made to go with particular types of beers. They even have a little card on the front of the box that tells you what it pairs with. Just really fine cigars. We've been enjoying different ones of these during time. Monte Cristo, this is a limited edition with an American shade. Now this is in your limited edition price ranges, $10 to $14, $15 in that range. We have La Imperioso, which is under $10. And we have the Oscuro by E.P. Carrillo, who last year got everyone excited with La Historia. And then we have Aging Room limited edition there. I think it's around $16 or something like that.
But a great cigar and well worth.
Great cigar, and there were others. Nomad came out, these therapies that we'll talk about later in the show. They're very inexpensive. And Murcielago, very nice. We'll talk about travel packs in this show. They're $20 a piece. So.
Sounds exciting. Stay tuned. Welcome to Inside the Humidor. I'm Josh Eagle, along with Ed Brandyberry, certified retail tobacconist, on another awesome episode of Inside the Humidor. We got some great stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about the IPCPR. I think we've brought that up in some prior episodes, but we got some stuff that should be on your store shelves now. Some of the newest releases, and we found some trends. Ed and I are smoking the Perdomo Craft Series release. Now, Perdomo has done Arthur Kemper, the right-hand man of Nick Perdomo, has taken on a project to blend a cigar that pairs perfectly with your favorite craft beer. We had the opportunity to smoke this at 1776 Bar and Grill in Meadville, and we paired it with the limited edition Breakfast of Champions Stout. I think they only made 25 cases of the beer. Also had some great steaks, but paired it up with this cigar and the beer. Just a fantastic pairing. They actually knocked this one out of the park. And a standalone cigar, too.
Yeah, yeah. It is a lot stronger cigar if you smoke it by itself. You notice the nicotine.
You see the dark beer that we have in here, and drink a little bit of that with it. But the marriage, how they came up with the marriage is actually fantastic. You know, when you think about pairing cigars, you usually think, we've talked about scotch and cognac and rum. And beer was a tougher match. But with the craft series and the craft beer, basically revolution, there's so many beers out there to choose from. And most of them, you know, have some dark and some coffee notes, and IPAs are real hoppy. And the cigars were kind of either getting washed out or, you know, you were killing the beer, one or the other. So I was amazed that this actually has paired with every stout that I've tried with it. And that came out at IPCPR, and it should be on, you know, the Perdomo retailer shelves now to buy. What else do we have up here, Ed?
Oh, well, we have if you're a Monte Cristo fan or a nice Connecticut, we have this Monte Cristo White Vintage. It's not that they've gotten rid of the white, which is a very popular Monte Cristo, but they've taken vintage tobaccos, 3 to 6 year tobaccos, and put those to make this cigar. And it's similar, but there's enough difference with the American Connecticut, which
that was the big difference, right?
Another little something we've seen a little more of this past year is the use, again, of American Connecticut shade tobaccos for wrappers. Perdomo did that on their Pilsner. The Connecticut is an American Connecticut instead of Ecuadorian.
And you're going to get it, you're going to find between 50 cents and $1 a stick between the Ecuadorian Connecticut and the United States Connecticut wrapper. You're usually going to find that just more expensive to produce here, and not as much of it is grown, so that's going to keep the cost a little bit higher. Next to that, what do we see?
Well, La Imperiosa is really the reappearance of one of the editions, I think the 2013 or 14.
Yeah. It was the 14 Caballeros.
Los Cavaleros, which was, everyone was like, oh, no, it's gone. And they said, hey, boys, we brought it back.
Yeah, they made it a full line production. So sometimes with limited releases, if they hit it out of the park as fast as some of them do, some of them become full production, and we saw that with La Imperiosa and the guys from Crown Heads. What do we have next to that one?
We have E.P. Carrillo, who makes La Historia, has come out now with a very similar blend, only a darker wrapper. It's I believe, Ecuadorian Oscuro?
No, it's San Andrean.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, San Andrean. Very similar to the La Historia that got number 2 last year. He's piggybacking on that success, I guess, and going in the San Andrean market. We've seen a lot more San Andrean cigars in the last 5 years, handful of years. And actually, I want to talk a little bit about the San Andrean tobacco. And
Torrent?
Yes.
Hey, Torrent. Yeah.
Thank you. He has his own cigar coming out.
Yeah, well, he had, and he has his factory where he makes cigars. I think he's still making some cigars like the Te Amos and that for Altadas. But however that may be, he kept his famous blends. He had the Triple Play and Puro Authentico or something like that. He had those, which were all Mexican tobacco cigars, but he wasn't allowed to, when he sold his company, or at least his brands, he wasn't allowed to market them outside of Central America, which sort of narrows the market down.
Absolutely.
Well, now he's dropped those, even what he had competing with Altadas. And so now he has his own. It's called Casa Torrent.
So I'm excited for that. You know, the Mexican tobacco's got a very unique flavor.
And he's the guy who's been raising it.
Yeah, he's the guy who brought it to the forefront.
Right.
And, so the Oscuro wrapper is, if you can see some of the wrappers here, you're going to get these really, really dark wrappers this year with a lot of the releases. And Oscuro Maduro, the difference is just the shade of the color. The process is the same, but you're looking for a deeper, almost black wrapper. I don't know if you want to get into the
even Perdomo's wrapper here is a very rich, chocolate, dark
Maduro.
chocolate. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see the contrast, though. You're still actually going to get some contrast between a more traditional Maduro. Can you see that? Great. More traditional Maduro, and how dark these newer wrappers are. So there's a real trend in the Oscuro this year, giving us something different. Also, a lot of Connecticut's came back into the market, so there's a lot of Connecticut cigars. And then our last cigar that we have on the table here, that a nice cigar, is the M19 from Aging Room, a limited release cigar. I don't know much about it; just hit the shelf here. So
really, he has released what he calls a Fortissimo each year. So 2 years ago it was the M21. Last year it was the M20. This year it's the M19.
So he only has 18 more years to go and it's over, I guess.
It's over, I guess. But I'm not sure of the entire differences, other than I believe this year we have a little larger cigar than we had other years. It might be the same size, but
it's a neat cigar. It's got a
it's a Figurado.
Yeah, a little Figurado, a little Perfecto. It's got the closed fit, got a little pigtail in the end. Really well done, really tight box press.
It's a nice smoke.
And with Aging Room, they use really expensive tobacco. They usually age. I think there's 14-year aged tobacco inside of this blend. The price point is high, but well worth the smoke. I mean, it's still lower than, Cohiba or Padron.
Oh, yeah.
But what is this one, in the $13 or $14 range?
Somewhere.
MSRP. So, limited release, We saw some old blends come back to life. We saw the Oscuro wrapper at the show. We saw some pairing cigars from Perdomo. We saw people using American tobacco. Also, Camacho released almost like a 90% American tobacco cigar. The American barrel aged. The bourbon barrel aging, which has been done for a long time.
Yeah, Nick's been doing it a long time, so he says, darn it, I'm the guy who was
been
really
putting it on
making
the
this
package.
popular. So he finally put it on his packages so that, not that it wasn't being done by anyone else, but he does it to all his wrappers. So he decided, might as well capitalize on what I'm doing, and they reblended his Habano line as a barrel-aged Habano.
Right.
And used some higher primings in the reblending, and it is really a good cigar.
So this year we saw a lot of the reblending, actually.
Right.
This is another one that was reblended.
Yeah.
This is the Espinosa, or the Guazona Murcielago, out of the Guazona factory by Eric Espinosa. This is a blend that he had with Eddie Ortega, and they've brought back the original blend. So that another time
He
where
tweaked
you're seeing,
it a little.
Yeah, a little tweak, so it's his. But you see a lot of blends coming back, and coming back around. Another trend that we saw, one with our friend Fred Rury from Nomad, and a lot of lower price cigars that are trade or bundled cigars that are great made, but you keep the price point down. This happens to be the Nomad Therapy series. Got 3 different wrappers, basically mild, medium, and full. You have a Connecticut, a Maduro, and some form of Habano in the middle there.
It's a Habano.
So,
the interesting thing is, Fred and how he likes to sound serious, but don't take him seriously. He did that with this because he says anyone who ever sits in a cigar lounge knows that we all need a little therapy.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's part of what he says about that.
So that's fun, but you're talking the cigars that are under $8. AJ Fernandez did it again with Enclave, another cigar that he has a Perfecto, he has a Toro Robusto, the Connecticut that came out a little bit before that, again, an under $8 cigar across the line. So we're starting to see a trend in the market of maybe some stuff that's a little lower priced, and then coming out with the limited editions that are higher priced.
Right.
And I think that what that does is that actually helps the manufacturer, helps us as retailers. When you have a small amount of high-priced cigars, it's a lot easier to move them than if you have an entire store filled with high-priced cigars.
Right.
And the everyday smoke has become very expensive over the years. 15 years ago, a punch was $2.50. A Monte Cristo White was $7.50. They're up to $11, $12, and the punch is at $4 and $5. So there's been a real move in price shift. So a lot of these companies need to actually come back, make a cigar that's going to be good for your everyday smoking, and keep it under that $8 range, which seems to be the magic number.
And not be afraid to bring out the limited edition. Bring it out and go ahead and get what you need to get out of that cigar for sitting on that tobacco for 3, 5, 10, 12, whatever years you did.
Absolutely, because when you're making the cigars, you have to age these things, so they're going to sit around for quite some time before you see any return on your investment.
Right.
So, amazingly enough, even the tobacco that we're talking about, these are still 4 or 5 year age tobaccos that we're getting $6, $7 a piece for. So you got to get volume. You have to have people enjoy them every day. Another trend we are the fresh packs.
Should grab an original, but that's all right.
Yeah, the fresh packs that came out here, they're actually humidified packs that have 4 cigars. Great to grab for your foursome and golf.
Are.
Great to grab because the bags are actually reusable.
Reusable. Well, don't we all like that? We can just seal that press right up on there like you do with a Ziploc or whatever they're called, and use it over and over.
And another great thing, like this Alec Bradley one, inside of here you're going to get a Prensado and a Mundial.
They're both over $10.
They're both over $10 sticks, and inside this entire package it's $20.
Yeah.
So you're finding that a lot of people are looking to try to get some sticks in their hand. You're going to have some everyday smokers like Lineage and Races Cabanas that are more affordable in that $7 range for a daily smoke. They're giving you 2 of these to get you to try these to get into the everyday, and I think that's kind of the niche here, because you'll see here in the AJ, the Oval and the Bull, a little higher price cigar. Bull used to be a lot higher. It actually came down in price pretty significantly. But the Oval has gotten a lot of accolades, but they pair it with two cigars that are under that $7 range to get you into that everyday smoking. Same thing that Esteban Carreras has done.
Right.
Esteban Carreras is actually trying to give you a sample of their cigars because it's a little lesser known brand. Try to get it out there, let people smoke it across the range.
It's a great way to do it.
Absolutely. So we saw a lot of fresh packs, so the guys at Boveda are pretty happy about that.
Yeah, whoever's doing these has just got to be, well, let's just say they should be charging enough for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the volume's there, though. You know, you're moving a lot of these fresh packs. So that was definitely a trend that we saw. So the bundled cigar, the rebranding and the reblending of cigars. The Oscuro wrapper was something that we noticed there. The Connecticut shade was something that...
Connecticut, yeah.
American Connecticut. And, the use of American tobacco, so...
That seems to be a little bit on the increase. You know, it used to be you had these niche cigars like Rocky's Decade Limitada, and you had A.J. Fernandez doing it with Mayimbe, and occasionally with some other things that he did for, like, some of the cigars he makes for CI are with Pennsylvania broadleaf. So we're seeing an increase in American tobaccos, and particularly in Connecticut
broadleaf and
Connecticut shade and Pennsylvania broadleaf, I think.
No, yeah, you're right about that. I think probably because, I mean, you have I think we're in a boom. We've talked about it before. I think this is the golden age. I think cigars have never been made better, and there's never been as much choice as you have right now.
Look at the variety on this table.
Unbelievable. I mean, you have
all
limited
different
release.
cigars.
The only two that would be similar on the table would be Imperiosa and Oscuro, but still completely different. We're talking a Nicaraguan blend.
Right. And a Dominican.
The San Andrean. This is a San Andrean. I believe it's Ecuadorian and Nicaraguan.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Which is different for EP.
Yeah, Carrillo's usually got some Dominican in there.
For those of you not familiar with who EP Carrillo is, La Gloria Cubana, a recognizable cigar, was his company before he sold that off to General, and he has come back out with his own name on the brand as EP Carrillo, and the EPs have been fantastic since their release.
Yes.
I think everyone's familiar with who Monte Cristo is and what they do. I haven't had a chance to try that cigar.
It's nice. You know who we talk about some other things that happened at the show. We had Uvetzi and Avo was in the Davidoff booth. Guy must be around 90 years old, and he was in there. And we had a number of people coming out with, like you talked about, the trays, but they weren't just doing this kind of thing. It was like people are really looking for something different.
Yeah.
The Rocky Patel partnership with a cigar that we haven't received yet, that's called Hamlet. Fellow who's newly away from Cuba, right?
Absolutely. They pulled him from Cuba to make that cigar. He was one of the heads of one of the factories, and he actually had joined the Rocky Patel team, made the Hamlet, which we hope to have in November. So that's exciting. They also came out with the 20th anniversary of Rocky Patel, so he's been around doing this 20 years. You know, so that's pretty exciting.
It is.
Anybody can do anything for 20 years is a good job. And Rocky, they continue to come out with great cigars, and you know, the packaging is always explosive with Rocky. They always have some different colors that aren't in the industry to set their cigars apart. Like Hamlet is like a blue, an aqua blue and green,
right?
You know, with a lot of filigree and a nice looking cigar.
Then they have Altadas. Besides this Monte Cristo, they have a Monte Cristo 80th coming out, and that one thing that happens, folks, is that they show us all these cigars at the show, and then you wait for at least 2, 3, 4 months till you actually get your order. But we complain about it sometimes. But tell you the truth, it's better when it's spread out across there because it gives you a chance to try the different cigars one at a time rather than being distracted by, wow, there's 7 different new cigars here. So this way, one at a time, we can do things like this.
And another thing I think we saw that might become a bigger trend in the industry that Altides kind of kicked off is the pairing up with a smaller boutique blender and owner to create a traditional cigar. And we saw that right before the show. The guys at Aging Room, the cigar here,
Right.
On my left, they made the newest Romeo and Juliet, the Romeo by Aging Room. It's a nice, dark, complex cigar, way different than anything in the Romeo line. Received great accolades. Then at the show, they released the Pete Johnson from Tatawahe, the Henry Clay Tattoo. We did receive 1 box of the 6 boxes that we ordered, and we did sell it in 24 hours. So people are getting excited about getting those traditional names with a non-traditional.
That's right.
blender.
And you know, Pete Johnson was, I mean, they almost should have done what they did with that Henry Clay, is what they did with the Romeo and Julieta, because you're going to have this cigar people will have wanted to try over again, and whether they're going to be able to get the tobacco and re-release it. I've heard rumors that they may, and others that no, this is a one and done. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
For me, I'm hoping it's a one and done.
Yeah.
Make something different, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I understand when it was popular because it was a Pete Johnson, it was a Henry Clay, an old traditional. Everyone wanted to try it. But does that wear off if you just have it in full production all the time and just this guy's making this? So now it's all of a sudden, I think some of that
Well,
gloss
then it's
comes
competing
off.
against the core lines for those same people.
For the same people. So I found that interesting. That was definitely a trend. But only an Altides trend. No one else did that at the show.
No.
But I could definitely see that happening across the board. You know, General should have thought of that when they picked up Tarano and Lucia before they just take their brands. They should have had a Macanudo by Tarano or
a punch by Lucia.
a Punch by Lucia. That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see that, though. I think you're
We
going to
might.
start to see it across the board.
We might.
Some of your traditional brands like Ashton, they had a release.
Noblesse.
Grenoble, which is a
Right.
limited release, which we haven't seen on the shelves yet. Did they do a new San Cristobal?
They did. Yes, they did a new San Cristobal, and last year they did La Noblesse. It sold out pretty well for them. This year they did it in 2 sizes,
Yes.
and so we should be getting those in whenever
They
those
release.
ship.
Alec Bradley did. They did the
They did.
Sanctum.
Right, and they did some they're blend extensions, if you will, not really line extensions. They came up with different wrappers for some blends that are well known in the company. The Nicapuro, they put a did they put a Rosado
Yes.
on the Nicapuro, and then they did the Tempest, which has been a Honduran cigar, and they put mixed some Nicaraguan tobacco with it and changed the blend up a little bit. Came up with a Tempest Nicaragua. So you end up with those kinds of things. But that's a regular thing that happens in companies, I think. You have a blend, you have a core blend, it works. Let's try it with a different wrapper. How much do we need to change it here and there, and that kind of thing.
Think that has anything to do with the pending FDA?
Well, I think it does, because if you're able to just show that all this is a blend extension, then you aren't paying the fees to...
There's going to be workarounds there.
For
For anybody not familiar, the FDA and some of the legislation that's up for approval this
There's
week.
the legislation, because we don't even get a vote on it.
No, it's ruling, I guess.
It's a ruling, it's an FDA thing.
So the FDA ruling could come as soon as this week. That would require the manufacturers to report all of their blends to the federal government for approval at the clip of $50,000 a blend. As a price increase,
It's the little guys that are going to be hurt by that.
yes, I mean,
The big guys can absorb some and pass the rest on.
right.
If you're making 100,000 Perdomo champagne, Nick will factor what this impact is, and then it'll go. I'm not saying it won't have an impact. It will on everybody. But imagine if you're a small batch guy like Boutique Blends making aging room. How do you absorb 50 grand?
Well, unfortunately, what we're not going to see unless it's a line extension. See, there's going to be some gray area there. Is this considered one line?
Yeah.
This is the therapy.
Right.
This is 3 different cigars, but it's the therapy, band, and brand. See, now I know in the liquor world, band and brand are what matter,
Yeah.
not what's inside of it.
Okay.
They approve more on the band and brand. If you have a new brand and a new band or a new label, that's what needs to be approved by the Liquor Control Board or the federal government. They need to see that you have. But what's technically inside of it is allowed to change. So they're going to improve the band and brand, which means you might see a lot of this. That's therapy. Not much different in the band and brand.
Which is what Perdomo's been doing for years.
Not much different in the band and brand, but you have a line extension. But some of these limited release cigars might be really affected by that, unless you can consider
It
it
might
a line
disappear.
extension. It might disappear at all. So, I think the show overall was a pretty good year for the show. Next year we moved back to Las Vegas, thankfully. It's just a lot easier to get in and out of that city.
It is.
It's built for conventions.
We're scattered all over the place in New Orleans. It wasn't easy to get together
No,
with groups of people.
you kind of get lost in the city.
Right. We found places, folks, we found places that were behind places where a group of 15 of us would sit down and smoke cigars, and then everyone scattered to go eat because you didn't dare go into a place with 15 people
No.
and say, if you didn't have reservations, just forget it. But if you broke up into a group of 5 or 6, 7 people, you could go into a couple places. We went into the one place and smoked cigars outside on their patio.
Yeah, which was nice. I mean, there's certain things about New Orleans that are nice.
Yeah.
But for the convention scene, it's best to have it in Vegas. Everyone gathers at the Circle Bar afterwards or the Fuente Club, and
Right.
people are just in a more centralized location
Right.
in Vegas where we can get together. You can smoke in the casino. They actually passed the smoking ban in New Orleans, and right before we left,
Right.
about a month before. So that put a little bit of a damper on where things could be smoked and how you can have. For a cigar convention, smoking cigars is pretty important. Might not be important to them in everyday life, but if you're going to have a cigar convention, you probably need to be able to smoke cigars.
Well, New Orleans was the only place I've ever been in my life where I could go up to a bartender and say, I want it to go.
Yeah. But you can't smoke a cigar.
No.
Not sure what the logic is behind that.
I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, with the Edmund Fitzgerald, we're drinking the Great Lakes Edmund Fitzgerald from Great Lakes Brewing in Cleveland, and it's a nice beer. It's been around a little while now. It's one of the earlier craft beer makers, Great Lakes, and the pairing's phenomenal with the Perdomo. Really recommend people going out and grabbing a Perdomo, sitting down with your favorite beer. They have 3 wrappers currently. You have the amber, the stout,
And then the other one is the Pilsner.
the Pilsner.
It has the Connecticut wrapper on it. We'll go with your lighter beers.
Yep.
But they're also good by themselves. I've smoked them both ways. I found that in my opinion anyhow, the effect of the Maduro on me was such that I thought it was one of the strongest cigars that Perdomo makes.
Yeah.
On the Maduro. If
I think
you're
there's a
just
lot of
by
Humidor.
yourself.
It's a slow burner.
Yeah, it is.
So. But a really nice cigar. I think this year, people came out with a lot of cigars in closing that were nice cigars this year.
Right.
I didn't think that anybody went. There was not a lot of wow factor, not a lot of ton of
there
new
wasn't.
stuff happening. But
There was some on the wow factor at Perdomo were the boxes for the
yeah,
new Habano reblend and this Humidor that he's got at some stores like ours will have,
Absolutely.
where people win a humidor almost as big as this table.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful piece of furniture.
Yeah.
So a little bit more of the giveaways, a little bit more of the gimmicks, a little bit more of the boxing and branding this year.
Right.
So we'll see what next year will bring us, but it's always fun as the cigars trickle in throughout
FDA might
the year.
have dampered creativity a little bit.
I think so. I think so, because they're in tune with it. So that creative juice is flowing, and maybe instead of coming out with new cigars, you rebrand, make your cigar a grandfathered brand with beautiful packaging, and you might be under the FDA radar for that.
Right.
But those boutiques, they were still rocking.
Well, we still don't know what year they're going to make them go back to.
Yeah, who knows?
We've heard everything from 1997 up to 2004. So,
Could get interesting.
could see some things disappear.
Yeah, so in the future here, we're going to be getting down to countdown time for the Cigar of the Year.
That's right.
So
be
that's
coming up.
fantastic. Coming up here at the end of the...
Wow, in November?
In November?
No.
You start
Right.
the countdown kind of.
Yeah,
in November.
beginning of December. Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot of fun, so look for that. For Ed Brandyberry, I'm Josh Eagle. You are watching Inside the Humidor. Appreciate that one. Get out there and burn one. Thank you for watching another episode of Inside the Humidor. I'm Josh Eagle for Ed Brandyberry. If there's any questions you have about today's show, email ed@smokestackpgh.com, or you can call the shop at 412-375-7627. Be more than happy to answer any of your questions about the new cigars from 2015. And if we have the stuff in stock, which would be awesome, which should be coming soon. There
That's
should be
right,
a lot of
should
fun,
be.
exciting stuff that will be trickling in.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you watching. Get out there and burn one.